The sun hangs low over the African savanna, casting long shadows across a winding river where time seems to stop.
The water is still, too still.
Then, with barely a ripple, something shifts. Nostrils break the surface. A low grunt rumbles through the reeds. Moments later, a sudden splash explodes into the air and chaos follows. In an instant, nature's illusion of peace is shattered by the clash of two of Africa's most fearsome giants. One is a living relic of the dinosaur age, a creature built for ambush with armor for skin and jaws made to crush. The other, a heavyweight herbivore with the rage of a warrior and the strength to split boats in two. This is no fable. It's no exaggeration. This is the hippo versus the crocodile, an encounter as old as the rivers themselves and every bit as violent. Chapter 1. Beneath the waterline. The Nile flows quietly in the morning, its glassy surface reflecting a sky that seems endless. But underneath, the river seethes with life. The crocodile waits here, invisible, silent, still as death. Every muscle coiled like a spring, eyes just above the water, watching everything. It doesn't need to move. The river does the work. Sooner or later, something always comes close enough. But this morning, it's not a wildebeest or an unsuspecting antelope wading in for a drink. No, it's something much larger. A hippo, massive, hulking, territorial, is emerging from the water nearby. And it's not alone. There are calves in tow. To most animals, the crocodile is death incarnate. But to the hippopotamus, it's merely an annoyance. Maybe even a threat. And threats are not tolerated. The crocodile shifts, slow and subtle, floating closer. Maybe it's tempted by a calf, maybe just assessing the scene. It shouldn't. Not today. The bull hippo turns, eyes locking onto the approaching shape. There's no hesitation. With a roar that bellows across the river like thunder, he charges forward. Water explodes. The croc reacts too late. Chapter 2. The Ambush. Long before the hippo was a river king, the crocodile reigned. It has remained unchanged for over 200 million years, its design perfected by time. It kills without remorse or hesitation. It waits, blending with mud and shadows, striking only when success is near guaranteed. One dry season, in a shrinking pool along the Zambezi River, a group of crocodiles claimed what little water remained. Fish were few. Hunger was growing. And then came the hippos, trudging in from the far side of the bank, searching for depth, for shade, for space. Tensions were immediate. The water was too shallow for comfort. The hippos grunted, fanned out, and claimed the center. The crocodiles hovered at the edges, yellow eyes glinting with hunger. A baby hippo strayed too far from the group. It happened fast. A croc lunged, teeth flashing, jaws snapping. The water turned crimson. But the screams of the calf were met with fury. The mother was already there. Behind her, two other hippos followed, their massive frames displacing the water in tidal waves. The crocodile was strong, but it wasn't strong enough. With terrifying precision, the mother clamped her jaws around the predator's midsection. Bone cracked. The crocodile thrashed, tail whipping, but it was over. The river silenced once more, now stained with the cost of ambition. Subscribe to our wildlife newsletter for real stories, unique wildlife encounters, and exclusive content. Chapter 3. The Law of the River. What makes this battle so compelling, so unforgettable, isn't just the violence. It's the law behind it. You see, crocodiles and hippos share the same territory, drink from the same pools, rest on the same muddy banks. They're neighbors, reluctant neighbors. The crocodile, despite its monstrous reputation, knows when to step back. It has learned to navigate around the mood of a hippo to avoid the wrong kind of attention. A hungry croc might risk it, but it always gambles with its life. The hippo, on the other hand, does not bluff. It is not cautious. It is not calculating. It is chaos on four legs, cloaked in bulk and bad temper. Hippos don't attack for food. They attack to assert dominance, to protect space, to remove anything they view as a challenge. Sometimes just the sight of a crocodile sunning too close is enough to provoke a charge. No roars, no warning, just fury in motion. Chapter 4. Eyewitness to Mayhem. A ranger in Uganda once told the story of what he called the day the river screamed. It began like any other. Dusty air, vultures circling lazily overhead, elephants wading in the distance. Then came the unmistakable grunts of hippos. Not the usual chorus, but urgent, rhythmic, angry. He raised his binoculars and spotted them. 6 hippos moving toward a shallow bend where a crocodile lay, half submerged, tail twitching. One of the calves had been bitten earlier that morning, and it seemed the pod was out for revenge. What followed was a spectacle of brutality. The lead hippo barreled into the crocodile with enough force to send water 20 feet in the air. Others joined, biting, slamming, flipping the predator like it weighed nothing. The croc snapped wildly, but there was no escape. When it finally dragged itself to the far bank, bleeding, broken, it would never return to that section of the river again. Chapter 5. When the tables turn. Of course, nature isn't simple. No creature is invincible. During extreme droughts, when the water all but vanishes, crocodiles sometimes gain the upper hand. Hippos, desperate and weakened, find themselves stranded. And crocodiles, when desperate enough, can turn bold. There was a story from the Chobe River, one that few tourists ever saw. A massive bull hippo, old and scarred, had collapsed from exhaustion near the river's edge. Its pod had moved on, leaving it behind. The crocodiles came as night fell, dozens of them, drawn by the scent of blood and decay. They did not attack outright. They waited, surrounding the beast like wolves. And when the moon was high and the hippo had stopped moving, they descended, silent, methodical, tearing into a giant they would never have dared face head-on. It was not a battle. It was nature's final judgment. Chapter 6. Legends of the Wild. The rivalry between hippos and crocodiles isn't just about survival. It's about mythology. It's the kind of story told by trackers around campfires, by filmmakers capturing the raw fury of the wild. To witness it is to see Africa itself, untamed, unpredictable, and unrelenting. It's the reason people fly across oceans just for the chance to hear a hippo grunt in the dark or see the flash of a crocodile's tail in murky water. These aren't just animals. They are symbols of power, resilience, and danger. And when they meet, when tusk meets tooth, it's more than a fight. It's a reckoning. One last roar. So who wins? It doesn't matter, because in the end, this isn't a sport. It's not a game. Sometimes the crocodile wins with a sudden ambush. Sometimes the hippo triumphs with raw, unmatched force. More often, they circle each other warily, a mutual respect born of blood and memory. But when they clash, truly clash, it becomes the kind of story that echoes through the riverbeds and across generations. And if you're lucky enough to witness it, you'll never forget the sound. Subscribe to our wildlife newsletter for real stories, unique wildlife encounters, and exclusive content.